Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear and listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. And this one actually is a lot more common sense than it is anything else, because this is something that would have worked and would have made a lot of sense to do for a lot of the bigger tablet manufacturers out there, whether we're talking local or international, domestics or not. And that is that many of them could very well easily double as a portable monitor. Now, someone's going to say, well, Andre, they already do if you have the right software on them. And in the case of Apple, if you have multiple Apple products, then they can be linked together in that sense. But what I am talking about more or less is not having an app which streams from one device to the next, which can have lag and issues of that nature. It's simply the inclusion of an HDMI input or USB-C input, which will allow for audio and video to be transferred from the main device to another device, a secondary device. That is something that could easily be done with tablets. Now, I would say it would make more sense to do HDMI inputs, because then you could use it as a portable monitor for your game consoles or as an additional screen for your PCs, anything of that nature. Or even have it double as an extension of another tablet. And I don't know if there's a lot of people that think about that, but that's something that would actually be pretty cool. Or even use it for making your phone screen look bigger. There's multiple different options. It's just one of those things where I think you don't necessarily have to use an app, which again could have input lag and things of that nature, and could use more processing power than what would be needed if you could just simply plug it into the other screen. And then, to me, that's a little annoying, because I've seen, and actually at one point even had, a tablet that had a mini HDMI output, and I always wondered, why was there never an HDMI input or a mini HDMI input? Because it wouldn't necessarily have to be the most difficult thing in the world to do. And the technology is around to allow it to happen, but it just doesn't get done. Now, when you're somebody who's on the market, possibly looking for your PC or your laptop or notebook, you can actually get a USB-C portable monitor. They do exist. But I don't see anything on the market for a HDMI input or display port input type thing that would work in that same manner. And I would, again, err on the side of using HDMI just simply because it's more universal. But my thought process on this is, why don't tablet manufacturers use this? Because, tablets already have multiple different uses. And yes, as I've already stated, there's software that you can install and apps that you can install that allow this to happen, but it's not a direct one-to-one input when it's done. And I've used several of them myself, and sometimes the screen can lag behind what you're doing, and it can lag behind, depending on your connection and the app itself, anywhere from 5 to maybe even 30 seconds behind what you're trying to do, or the screens could just freeze altogether just because of the processing capability of the tablets themselves. So I look at that and I'm like, but if you could just plug the screen right in, it would negate most of these problems. Wouldn't negate everything, but it would negate most of these problems. And yeah, there might be a little bit of input lag over like your main direct screen, but I think it would be negligible. Very much like PCs with a two to three monitor setup. It's really one of those things where I see it not being so bad. But if you're using that tablet as like the singular screen, like again, using it at the game console example, say you wanted to plug in your Nintendo Switch, your Xbox, or your PlayStation directly to these, you would be good to go. It wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, the Nintendo Switch is a pretty bad example because it really doesn't need it. But just say your portable screen was a bit bigger than your Switch screen, then you're in business. I think that it's a technology that is being ignored that shouldn't be, to be fully honest. And that part of me believes it's a money thing. I mean, I did kind of pose this question on Twitter, I think a week ago or so, where I asked, why don't we have tablets that have HDMI input where you could plug something else into it and it just automatically go to that display? And the only response that I got back that really says anything was from a guy I know, Shadow Fox, that basically covered it is more or less the tablet manufacturers have deals in place that they don't want to step on any toes. But a lot of these tablet manufacturers also make televisions and monitors separately. So it's like, basically, it's a money thing. There's more money in it for them if they separate these things instead of combining them into one. The thing is, with that market, you could make a little bit more money from the people who would be like, okay, I just need a smaller monitor that I can stick to the side that'll also double as a tablet for when I'm out and about. Yeah, it may be a little bit more expensive in the interim, but there are some people who would appreciate that and not having to use an app that streams over Wi-Fi that may be laggy. It's not necessarily going to be laggy, but there's a possibility it could be laggy. And for some people, that can be irritating. And I think that would help with a lot of people that want a multi-monitor setup, or two, just want to have a portable screen for the game consoles. But they also would use the tablet for other purposes. So it's something that I believe should have been done or should be looked into. And there are companies out there that could do it. Like, again, portable monitors already exist. And if somebody wants to get a portable monitor and that's all they're going to use it for is as a portable monitor, that's cool. But I have not seen a portable monitor that has HDMI input. I've only seen USB-C, which basically only really allows them to work with computers, with PCs, PC and Mac. So to me, there's just like this, there's a possible market that could make a company a lot of money that just isn't being tapped. And it could just be because there's other money already in place blocking that from happening. But hey, I could be wrong. It's just an observation from myself looking at the grander picture of things. Whereas we're in a society where people like to make things more simplistic, or we like to use a device for multiple purposes, and if we really want something for a specific purpose, we will go out and get that thing. But if we don't necessarily need it, or what we have in our hands is sufficient to us, then that option should be available as well. So I guess for me, just looking at it in the overall, I think that there's just a market gap sitting there that could be filled. And you got companies like Samsung, HTC, ProScan, Scepter, whichever one it is. Look, I know it's one of the two. Spellings aren't too different. There's a lot of companies that could make these devices that just don't. So I'm wondering when someone will get the idea to do it. And I'm hoping it's sometime soon. But I'll leave that up to whoever wants to make their comment on YouTube comment section below, on Anchor. You can respond directly with your own voice to my discussion topic and give your thoughts. But for now, I'm going to call it quits with this. Thank you very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out.